Welcome to the Astro Psyche. This is your weekly astrology forecast for January 1st through the 7th. So, Happy New Year. I hope you're doing well, having a healthy, safe, and enjoyable start to the beginning of the year. This week, we have Mercury's retrograde ending, coming to a sense of completion with that. We have Mars, the planet of initiation, action, and drive, changing signs. And then we also have Venus and Saturn making an aspect this week. So I actually really like the astrology of this week for this moment in time where we are beginning a brand new calendar year. It feels very supportive around themes of taking action, initiation, and envisioning a future, envisioning where it is that we want to move towards, and sort of having an initiatory process that begins now towards what it is that we want to further our own sense of enjoyment in life and productivity, and also simply our own personal self-development as well. So I'm going to share with you why I think that, and how we can really root into the astrology of this week to make the most of it. My name is Shauna McGrath. I'm a psychotherapist and astrologer. I do psychotherapy as well as astrological counseling, and I really love making these weekly astrology videos for you so that we can connect together with the astrology in the now. So what is happening this week? As always, I like to keep in mind the lunar phase, the lunar point that we're in as far as the moon cycle, month to month. So we had a full moon last week, and this means that the moon is now waning, and we're going into the third quarter moon in Libra this particular week. So what do I want to say about this? So the sun is in Capricorn this time of year. Happy birthday to my Capricorn people. So the sun is a symbol of our conscious awareness. The moon is a symbol of our emotions, our feelings, the more subconscious-y kind of things, the things that we can bring into awareness most easily through the body, through contemplation, through becoming aware of what it is that's happening at a more somatic kind of level. And so I think this is really important because the sun, the consciousness, is in the Capricorn arena. So wherever Capricorn is in your birth chart, that house or maybe planets that you have, but also Capricorn themes are really focal right now. So themes around having a sense of security and strong foundations and practical safety, practical security, having things set in a way where there is a sense of order or tradition. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So there's this sense of really getting clear and direct, and even having a sense of the finiteness of life. It's like very about pinning things down. And so the moon, third quarter moon, is basically a square aspect where there's a bit of tension, or there's a bit of a need to make a compromise or to make a decision. The third quarter moon is in the waning part where the moon is becoming smaller and smaller. It's at the point between the full moon and the new moon. And the moon, the third quarter moon in Libra, is where there's themes that may come up around relationship or finding a sense of balance, finding a sense of how do we achieve, Capricorn, the things that we're really focused on, the sun, and do that in a way that also honors a sense of balance or equanimity, relationships and connections and things like this. This is the moon in Libra. What I think is really interesting also at this moment in time is that the third quarter moon in Libra is with the South Node, and the South Node has themes around being open to surrender, being open to letting go, being open to saying, okay, this way of being or this particular thing or scenario or situation has served out its time, and I want to let it transform or dissipate or become something entirely different. And so that may be that might be kind of like an emotional undertone of what's happening this week, especially if you have planets and cardinal signs. I think too this is going to be more active. So there's this theme this new year, this calendar year, around emotionally letting go of something that maybe feels worn in your life, that has served its purpose, so that you can focus more on what it is that you're building. That's kind of a theme here. And I think that's like, again, like really supportive around the mindset that we're already in, which is beginning fresh, beginning new. And whether we set intentions or not, there's kind of this collective field around a new year. Okay, so also what's happening is Mercury will station direct in Sagittarius on Monday the 1st. So when Mercury stations direct, it is actually appears very still in the sky. So it's going to be at this point, it stations at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. So it's going to be here, like really sort of holding this moment in time. And then it's going to, in the coming weeks, move forward very slowly as it picks up speed. And so Mercury is, so what does this mean? So this week, I think, is a point in time where there may be a sense of cohesion and clarity and a coming together around topics that you've been thinking about, that you've been reevaluating, that you've been sort of mulling around in your mind. Possibly things that you've had a sense of like maybe confusion around. And I'm saying that especially because Mercury has been square Neptune for a big part of its retrograde process. So again, this is not like a light switch. It's like a tide coming in and out. And so the tide is shifting and it's moving towards a sense of cohesion, clarity, kind of like the pieces sort of coming together in your mind. Or maybe the pieces coming together in a collaboration or a deal or a situation where suddenly the factors are sort of coming together. And again, that may be in a different way than you had imagined because more information is coming online now. There's more facts, there's more information, there's more integration is kind of like what I really feel with this. And so this is also still Mercury stationing direct very close to Mars in Sagittarius. And so these themes around communication or mental clarity that is direct, that is confrontational. And when I say confrontational, not in a bad way, but that there can be a helpfulness when things are clear and direct and kind of like no nonsense in a certain kind of way. And so Mercury is going to be in Sagittarius for a little bit. It will move into Capricorn on January 14th. So we'll talk more about that then, but just to keep in mind that Mercury is still in these late stages of Sagittarius where there's this going back over both Sagittarius and Capricorn where Mercury has retrograded. So I would say like even in the next month or so for the month of January, there is this theme around integrating the ideas and the questions that we've been asking ourselves over the past 3 weeks, over the latter part of December. Okay. So that is happening. Also this week, Mars is going to move into Capricorn. So it's with Mercury, but then it sort of hops away for a little bit. So Mars is moving from Sagittarius to Capricorn. And so this is happening on the 4th of January, Mars moving from Sagittarius to Capricorn. And it will be in that sign for a little over a month until February 13th. And so this is a change from our sense of Mars being our sense of physical activity, initiative, action, drive, assertiveness, that part of us that wants to fight for something, that wants to engage, that wants to advocate for something in a way that where there's like this fire to do something, the fire to act. That has been in Sagittarius, which is about exploration, philosophy, exploring. Like Mars in Sagittarius is really about exploring many different vantage points and many different scenarios, and going about things in a way that where there's a lot of possibility for expansion and growth, and kind of like a lot of different angles with things. Mars in Capricorn is much more focused, much more to the point, much more like Mars in Capricorn is like, okay, what is my goal? And I'm gonna do that from A to B. Whereas in contrast, the energy that we're leaving with Mars and Sag is more about like, okay, but like Mars and Sag is more about the journey than the destination. And Mars and Capricorn is like, okay, it's like high priority. The number one priority is that I get where I'm going or accomplishing what I want. And how do I make that happen in a very practical way? Mars in Capricorn has also some inherent strength and beneficence also, because it is Mars in its exalted sign. And so this adds some extra oomph to Mars. So I think, there may be a sense of feeling more energetic, more motivated, more driven. And so I think this is a great energy to take advantage of, especially if, you're feeling ambivalent about certain things in your life, or you have been feeling ambivalent. I think this is kind of like, a change in energy that's also really supportive of envisioning the future and moving into a brand new year. Okay. So another aspect that I want to share with you that's happening this week, and then we'll pull some tarot cards, is Venus, the planet of relationships, beauty, aesthetics, attraction, feeling a sense of peace in ourselves. Venus, freshly in Sagittarius, will be making a square to Saturn. And so there's a little, like a square, there's a little bit of tension here. But I actually kind of like this, because I feel like this Venus square Saturn this week propels us to get really clear and discerning around what it is that we want and how we're prioritizing our time, and how we're prioritizing our time and energy based on our values and what's important to us. And I think that in my experience, Venus-Saturn as a square aspect can be a time that's very clarifying on like, oh, like this is not what I want, or like this really is what I want. And it can be a time where there's sort of this, it's beneficial for pruning, so to speak, like where it's like, okay, like this is not, it doesn't even have to be like something that's bad. It can be like, you know what, this is not furthering what I want and what I enjoy. And I'm saying this because Venus is really about what brings us a sense of enjoyment and peace and pleasure and beauty, and these things are life-giving for us. I think that Venus can be associated with luxury, and that is certainly the case. And it's important for us to have a sense of beauty and enjoyment. Like this is additive to our experience as humans, and it also increases our vitality as well. And Saturn comes in and reminds us of the finiteness of life. Saturn reminds us that that we don't have all of the time in the world to explore all of the different things, that our resources are precious. And when Venus comes into this equation, it's like, okay, what do we really want to spend our precious time on that does feel good, that does feel life-inducing, that does feel relationally connective. And so that's a theme that may come up. I would say also this is especially present for folks who have planets or points in the early mutable signs. So Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, Pisces. This will be especially active because you're already having a transit of Saturn to your birth chart. Okay, so let's pull some tarot cards. I'm wondering how this lands for you, what comes up, how you're feeling, and yeah, I feel like it's a really sweet start to the year. Like there's definitely some tension, but I think squares are helpful in that they tend to propel us. They tend to motivate us to do something when, you know, they create tension, but there's also excitement is also a sense of there being kind of like tension. And so I think that there can be this sense of motivation. Okay, so if there is a particular scenario that you have in your mind, in your heart, in your consciousness, you can hold that softly in your awareness. Oops. Okay, dropped a lot of cards. So yeah, and maybe, you know, that's a good omen for maybe to pick one thing. Maybe there's a lot of things on your mind, and that's okay too. If you like, you can pick a card between 1 and 3. And that'll be your card. Okay, so this one, and this one. Okay. Okay, so I picked, the first card is the Hanged Person. So the Hanged Person is a card that's about holding and waiting and sort of like contemplating on something. So I think it's really interesting that we're getting that card with a lot of this energy around newness. It reminds me of Mercury stationing direct this week, and this feels like a reminder that, like, yes, it's a new year, and you know, we're also still integrating. There's still this sense of processing the prior year, and to not do that, you know, to not skip over that. Like the Hanged Man is reminds us that doing nothing intentionally can sometimes be very fruitful. And I think it's also a reminder to like not get caught up in these the collective pressures of being productive and, you know, having your life be a certain way just because that is what is that's the messaging or the patterning that we're receiving from the outside world. Second card is the Four of Wands. And I feel like this card and the next one we just got pretty recently. So the Four of Wands is about celebration. It's about coming together. It's about community rituals and doing things in a way that honors the process of life, doing things in a way that honors the timing of the season and where you're at, whether that is developmentally, a stage in your life, or a point in your life. Maybe you're embarking on a new journey. And this is a reminder to honor where you are, and that no matter where you are, there is there's a sense of purpose, even if it is something that's very unpleasant, that there is purpose in it. And I would say also the Four of Wands is a reminder to connect to the sense of meaning or purpose or timing and in what it is that you're doing. I may have more to say about that in a moment. So I pulled the Nine of Swords, and I feel like I pulled this last week or the week before, maybe, with a different deck, which is always interesting, right? So the Nine of Swords is about worry. The Nine of Swords is about anxiety, and it's a card that is like, hey, your worry about this is like getting to where it's causing you more harm than the actual situation maybe itself. So this is a reminder to find ways to soothe the anxiety. That I pulled this at the end feels like, if I'm like reading this is like a storyline, is there's something that where you're kind of like waiting, or there's like there's an encouragement to pause at this time and to know like, okay, this is where I am in this stage, to kind of like, because when you look at things upside down, you get an entirely different vantage point. Those of you that maybe are artists or draw or anything like that, there's this practice of, you know, like looking at just simply the shape and not the actual thing. So it kind of like, it disrupts that part of our brain when we're upside down. It disrupts that part that assumes or sort of fills in the gaps in things so that you can actually see things as they are. And so there is this moment in time, which is where you are now, where there's encouragement to look at things from a different vantage point and to pause, so that you can see things as they actually are, and that there is some purpose or some meaning or some connecting in to the developmental point or stage or initiatory process that is this moment, even if we don't have the cultural structures for that. There is something important here that is happening at this point in your life, and that going through this process will relieve some of the anxieties that you've been having, that that the sense of worry can sort of be dissolved and fall away, because you have a broader perspective on what it is that's actually happening. And so yeah, I really like that for you. I hope that resonates and is helpful. Yeah, I'm just wishing you a really sweet new year. Oh, and thank you so much to those of you who have left ratings or reviews where you listen to this on a podcast form. That really helps the podcast become more visible to folks who are searching for astrology forecasts or astrology podcasts and things like that. Also, I didn't mention the next new moon is in Capricorn on January 11th. The next full moon is in Leo on January 25th. And also, I'm really excited to share with you a 2024 forecast and astro-planning workshop. So this will be live as well as recorded. I'm hosting it on Tuesday, January 16th. And it'll be an opportunity to really look together at the astrology of the whole next year and to sort of mentally, emotionally, spiritually prepare for this year ahead. And so we'll talk about major aspects, retrogrades, eclipses, and how to not just know what's going to happen in the astrology, but also sort of like integrate this as a broad picture, and to also have an eye for integrating this into your life as it is now and into your birth chart, or if you read charts, how to, you know, start to integrate the transits, and to have like a holistic kind of view of things. So I have more info on that on my website, theastropsyche.com. And yeah, wishing you a really wonderful week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.